Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Let me begin today by asking you a very basic question, and that is, after you've been hurt by a narcissist, or maybe more than one, or perhaps even a system of narcissism, are you going to feel emotionally wounded? And the answer is, oh yes, you are. You're going to feel wounded, and you can carry some emotional scars because of your experiences. You've heard me talk about having a psychological limp that comes in the aftermath of being with strongly negative individuals. Another question, though, is it possible for you to find emotional healing after all of this hurt and pain is there? And my resounding answer to that is, oh, yes, it is very possible. In fact, because of some of the experiences that you've had, you may actually have a deepening sense of insight and awareness that you never have had before, or perhaps maybe before you had some intellectual insight. But your experiences can take you to a place of understanding that can be quite profound, and let's make sure that we act upon that in such a way that it goes in the direction of your good. And then taking it a little bit further, let's also remember you're not alone. There are other individuals who have also been wounded and disappointed and hurt, and they carry their scars because of narcissistic relationships. And I'm wondering if you can think of yourself as being someone that can offer healing and soothing to other individuals who have been in that case. And when you do that, we refer to you as being a wounded healer. And by the way, you don't have to become a therapist like me in order to do that, although plenty of folks that are in my profession can say, oh yeah, I can experience that. I mean, I've experienced all that too. Can you see yourself, because of your wounds, as someone who can bring healing to other individuals who also need that arm of encouragement around them? Now, I want to talk with you about how we can get to that place. And obviously, one of the first things we're going to say is you are going to need to detach from the narcissist. Now, sometimes the detachment, if you can, needs to be complete and full. In other words, no contact, you have nothing to do with them. Other times, the narcissist is still going to be in your world, and you're going to have some engagements with them in one way or another, and you can't completely get around it. But even then, you can have what we would refer to as a psychological detachment that's going to help you down the road. And there are a couple of keys that I want you to understand first before we go into you becoming that wounded healer. The first key for you to realize is the goal of the narcissist was to render you powerless. And when we think about that, let's remind ourselves they wanted to take away your privilege to choose. They wanted you to second guess your viability and the validity of who you are and what you think and do. They wanted to keep you in a chronically defensive posture. You're constantly wondering, how am I going to explain myself this time? They want you to quit on yourself. And so it's important for you to see that was their end game, and that's what they put into you. And in many cases, they succeeded, at least temporarily. And so the more you realize that's what they want to do, and when you hear me say that, it's like, well, who would do that? And the answer is a disturbed person. Then I'm hoping it can remind you, I need to get away from that, and I need to think very other or very different. And then there's a second thing that I'm hoping you can do as you consider yourself down the path towards healing to the point where you can become that wounded healer. And this may sound not delightful or counterintuitive, but you're going to need to admit the darkness on the inside of you that emerged while you were with that narcissistic person. I have had so many people who have said, I don't like the person I became when I was with that individual or I was inside that system. They may say something like, I became a keeper of secrets, or I had to be very calculated in what I said and what I could reveal about who I am. I struggled with hate and anger and contempt. I participated in non-productive arguments, and I don't like the person I was in the midst of all of that. I had some ineffective coping skills, and it may be that you were caught up in all sorts of rebellion or patterns of life that just did not serve you well. You're going to need to go ahead and focus on that and become honest, because part of your healing is going to be having a sense of honesty, so that when you're with other individuals who are in a like situation and a like goal, that honesty is going to serve you well, and it's going to serve other individuals well. Now, this leads us then to asking, well, what does it mean first to disconnect from that narcissist so that I can connect in a much more healthy and healing way toward other individuals? Now, first and foremost, and you've heard me say this so many times, you're going to need to go back to your basics and establish boundaries. And when I say establish boundaries, I'm not talking about you need to know when to say no to everybody else. Obviously, that can be a part of boundaries. But boundaries means you need to have a definition of who you are. What are your values? What are your standards? What are your principles? What are your preferences? And go ahead and recommit yourself to all of that, because again, we remember the narcissist wanted you to feel powerless, and so part of you getting your power back is to say, this is me, this is who I'm going to be, and this is how I'm going to conduct myself. And then you're going to need to remind yourself over and over why it's so necessary for you to get away from that unhealthiness so that you can move into a different direction. You were abused, or you were played for a fool, or you were devalued, or you were never really respected. And it's important to remind yourself, I want to do whatever is the opposite of that. That's what I stand for. Don't just stay inside the complaint category and say, yeah, I hated what I had. Look at what happened so that you can focus on what the cleaner alternatives would be. And then another thing that's going to be a part of you detaching from the narcissist and moving towards a healing mindset is you want to develop an appreciation for healthy assertiveness. And when I say assertiveness, I mean standing in preservation for your worth, your dignity, your convictions, your needs, and being the kind of person that says when that arises, I'm not going to just pull back, and I'm not going to suppress, nor am I going to just be openly aggressive and just make everybody miserable while I'm trying to take care of me. But I want to have that middle ground sense that says I'm going to take care of who I am. I'm going to maintain a decency and a civility. Then, in addition, part of your growth and detachment away from, so that you can move towards healthiness, is to drop the need to defend yourself. One of the things that happened when you were with the narcissist is, like I say, you became calculated and you felt like you had to cover up or defend or justify. As you move forward, it's like, I don't want to live a life where everything is measured and guarded and calculated. I want to be committed to authenticity and openness. And so if I make a mistake, I say I make a mistake. Or as I'm with people, as common sense will allow, I want to have a sense of openness with other individuals, and I want them to have an openness with me. And then as you move forward and move away from the narcissist, remind yourself that you want to drop any kind of expectation that this person is going to appreciate who you are or understand you. You want to drop the expectation that they're going to approve of you. They won't. It's not going to happen. But you move forward anyway, knowing that, well, the reason I'm getting away is that. They don't care to understand. They don't care to know who I am. Now, taking it a little bit further, I'm hoping that you can remind yourself, I'm not alone in my experiences. There are plenty of other individuals, probably more than you know, who could say, oh yeah, I've been through some of the bad situations. Be the kind of person that picks up on that with other individuals. When someone says, I had some difficulty with this person, or I had some things in my family that didn't go very well, be willing to step in and say, tell me about that. What was that like for you? And it can allow other individuals to share some of their story, and perhaps you might give some Me Too stories. You don't want to make it all about yourself, but you want to have a sense of camaraderie and connectedness there. And you might ask, well, does this mean that you're being nosy? And the answer is not at all. What I'm trying to do is connect, because as I know what other person's point of reference is, then I can put that arm of encouragement around them and let it be known, when you've been through something like what you've been through or what I've been through, it is really nice to know that someone cares and wants to know you. I'd like to help you in that regard. And then I'm hoping that without harshness, you can talk about some of your experiences with the narcissist and that other person, with the idea of saying, can you and I decide, what the better alternatives are, and be the kind of person that goes into that kind of space, and don't just gripe about what the narcissist has done. Don't turn your efforts with other individuals into a complaint session. But have a sense of particularity about how you're going to manage things. Yeah, I know that I was criticized a lot, and as a result, I know that I'm wanting to emphasize goodness. Or I was told that I have nothing to offer, but I want to emphasize the good things that I can offer to other individuals, and be the kind of person that's open about that. And then stay in regular contact with those who are in growth. There are support groups, or they're just people that that have been through some things, and as you realize that there's a connection, don't isolate yourself. The narcissist wanted you to feel shame for what you've been through, but be the kind of person that says, yes, I have been wounded, but I'm healing myself, and I want to pass my healing off with other individuals. That strengthens your efforts. And that's what we refer to is when we say you can actually become the wounded healer. Narcissists themselves are wounded individuals, but they won't be honest about it. What they do is they take their wounds and they turn it into destructive means toward other individuals. I hope that you can take your wounds, examine them, be honest about it, and then move into the direction of being that healing presence with other individuals. And in doing so, you find yourself being washed over with a feeling of goodness that says, what I've been through in my pain was not wasted. I'm going to turn it into something that's good for myself and for anyone else that wants to join me in authenticity. I hope that videos such as this can give you some good hope that says there is life after having been with narcissists. That's why we call this the Surviving Narcissism channel. If you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We're going to keep more videos coming your direction. I hope this can be part of your healing journey. I so appreciate you allowing me to be on that path with you. Also, if you have a need for therapy, and I know many of you would say, oh yeah, I want someone that's going to help me unpack this so I can do what we're talking about here, know that there's a link below here to the people at BetterHelp.com. I've been sponsored by them for years. It's so helpful for somebody to ask the appropriate questions or to get you in touch with certain insights. And again, you can go back and think, good, I'm not alone. So it allows you to have more to build upon. So as the need is there, go through the link and get the help that you would need. In addition, you know that I have courses that I've put out there, and they're very extensive. It takes some time for you to work through them. It's like signing up for an online class. Each course has at least 25 videos with written handouts and documentation and questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about how to connect healthy in a healthy way. This is me about establishing those boundaries. Free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. More classes are on the way. And then we have my website with plenty of articles and other materials on there, access to my podcast, past webinars that I've done, 90-minute presentations, my books, etc. Okay, I know that you feel wounded, and sometimes you feel like you're walking with that psychological limp, and I'm hoping that you can say yes, and I'm going to limp right towards individuals who I can love, and I can work with so that we can do this together. And I'm hoping that you can create a sense that says, I'm not going to be defeated in the sense that I just stay in a place of misery. I'm going to take my experiences and I'm going to become a person of steadiness, a person of insight and wisdom. And ultimately, I hope it allows you to have extended periods where you can find your peace.